Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer, your favorite Pikachu. Moon in Leo. The sun is in Taurus. The moon is spicy going through Leo. But we started the moon in Leo opposite 0 degrees Pluto in Aquarius, which is a sign of times to come. Every time the moon opposes Pluto, this is the 2-week cycle to where it will conjunct Pluto again. So you want to be mindful of this extreme receptivity to how your courage is opposed against this extreme collective transformation and awakening. And the best way to explain that is that it's going to feel extremely weird because you are stepping into the transformation of humanity in and of itself as the world literally ends. And that quincunx the moon makes to Saturn is integrating this feeling of courage with the current beliefs about your self-concept. The moon is getting ready to activate its first quarter square. So this is the seeds that you planted in Taurus, which are manifesting your natural value growing out of the ground. And if we look at the science of that, Leo is the foundation of the value of Taurus relative to that heart of boldness that proclaims on stage the value that you have. When you feel or know or sense that you have value, it takes courage to socially express it, because Taurus is individual, Leo and Scorpio are social. So the social integration of your individual value prepares through the market of Virgo to be bartered. And with social perspectives, this be hashed out. What this is helping you understand is the courage needed, moon in Leo, so that you can fuel post-Cancer moon the power of your own conviction and courage in your own self to prepare for this full moon. So there are going to be very powerful realizations that integrate the synchronicities about how to feel about yourself and what you feel you're worth, that will now begin to express themselves in ways that help you understand what you have begun to sow. So this is kicking off the integration part from Moon Leo, Moon Virgo, and Moon Libra before the full moon in Scorpio, which with that eclipse will unlock the final element of all your past life wisdom or early childhood wisdom psychologically before Libra season, where the South Node will be in Libra. So this is really helping you understand what about your value is ready to be expressed in your social interactions with other people, which is subconsciously felt without having to be forcefully proven or shown. What's complicated about this, though, opposite Pluto, are the myriad of narratives and opinions that each collective and social group have, which you are distinctively separating yourself from in order to maintain your individuality, so that the peer pressure from groups do not pressure you in weakness to conform and fold because of an extreme reaction to an individual eccentric quality of your own beliefs about yourself. The way you feel about your worth is not going to fit into conventional and old traditional models of what your parents and their parents did. And you may be caught up in that collective influence of people who are wondering why things in the olden times don't work now, without them realizing that the world is over. Like that world that we're coming out of, just like in the 1700s, the world that they were in was over. Many people have not necessarily accepted that there's nothing new under the sun, but this is pretty much pushing from you more of a need to stand on the values that honor your authentic individuality. before we begin to integrate this further in like 10 years from now. Like, it's still too soon to bring that in. This extreme pressure is what will enable you through that struggle to grow the butterfly wings. But you don't want to be bowed down or pressured to give in. With that moon square to Uranus, that's going to draw out more natural eccentricity so that you can, through this, strengthen the quality of what you're worth, which is a huge theme of the infinity heir, billionaire, trillionaire, infinity heir, you being an infinite worth limitless amounts of value. This integration arc takes this out of concept and helps you practice this for real. So whereas the moon in Taurus wanted you to feel what is valuable about yourself, the moon in Cancer wants you to feel the courage to understand the foundation at this heart level, that you're willing to keep the same energy. So you just want to keep that same energy when you're dealing with other people. But that Pluto opposition is the difficulty of maintaining this fixed value relative to external outside opposing influences that seek to undermine and test that, especially when the moon goes in Virgo opposite Saturn and Pisces, to give you a very real understanding about how your beliefs can now align with what details you see that represent your experience of the behavior of this worth of value. The ridicule and the understatement of your value coming from people projecting their insecurity is an indirect reward to let you know that you're headed in the same place, because everything about fixed signs has to deal with strength. Physical strength in Taurus, spiritual courage in Leo, mental strength in Aquarius, and people's biases and prejudices get exposed when they don't necessarily get what they want out of interactions. And so this is going to really reveal the psychological nature behind how people now either accept the reality or engage in sabotaging narcissistic practices just to manipulate situations in their favor. This moon in Leo will now serve as a foundation to prepare you to draw boundaries once the moon is in Sagittarius, the next fire sign. So this is really still about honoring your individuality. And with the trine that the moon is making to Chiron and Jupiter, this boost in how you're expanding your identity will flourish more of this feeling of courage before it's made real in Virgo. Even with that quincunx to Neptune, which will now integrate the intuitive understanding that you've gained over the past 2 days. What's very important here, though, is to not take serious how retarded other people may be influenced by false narratives. That's really just meant to be more of a test and trigger to make sure that your sense of worth is still aligned the way it has to be. So major realizations and understanding of supernatural mechanics awaken post this Pluto opposition, and it's preparing you for the Pluto conjunction in Aquarius, which is going to awaken a more extreme understanding of the knowledge relative to this understanding of courage you're establishing right now. By the time the moon is in Aquarius and we're completing this transit, you've completed the harvest, and you know, Aquarius, your value, Taurus. So this is the road to building this knowledge. And this is really going to set the foundation of the stage you stand on to effectively carry on said values. So the seeds you planted in Taurus, watered and nurtured with your thoughts in Gemini, and literally nurtured with the moon in Cancer, rather, with your thoughts, is now breaking through the ground. And based on how courageous you feel to really express this, this will let you know very, very powerfully what direction to integrate things when the moon is in Libra with other people based on how you felt. And what's very important relative to all this is to make sure You're not giving away your value in an effort to fit in with social expectations. The social world is dead. Like, it's transitioning. So the more you really just stay true to your own individual values, which are going to be different from every other person, because you're different from every other person, whether you're with one of them, the better, versus other people who will lose their value by giving that away to fit into whatever is popular. Are you going to choose the world, or are you going to choose your soul? Because you can gain the world, but you'll lose your soul. And now you're a loser. So if you are willing to pretty much, you know, discard this worldly wisdom that appears successful, but it's really just an illusion, this will help you once again align with natural values that are intangible, that aren't necessarily based on a flawed monetary and economic system and false evaluation systems that cause people to think they're more valuable based on means that are not really representative of true strength. If you think about the hierarchies we have that are not even based on strength or merit, but who people know and who's popular, these things are breaking down very, very, very quickly and very, very fast, these structures. And it's really just up to you to maintain this golden understanding of what righteousness and what boldness goes in to beginning to integrate more into the world around you, what you're worth. As this integration starts to really kick in, when the moon goes pretty much exactly square in a few hours, this is where that challenge with the square will make sure you're not compromising what you're worth and lowering your prices so other people be more acceptable of it. Be stubborn, literally be stubborn here, and don't necessarily let your self-esteem get perturbed because a group of other people feel so or think so. It does not matter what the fuck they think. This is all about how strong your intent is relative to external influences that wish to transform it out of integrity, unless you're compromising in alignment with integrity. When people don't necessarily know what to say, they hit you with ad hominems and attack your character. They start to make fun of you because they're weak. Strong people do not do this. Strong people build other people up. Weak people have to try and tear other people down so that they can control them. So be willing to discern who is who. It's not everyone. There you have a lot of people who hide behind their muscles, their money, because they're overcompensating for a lack of actual real value. And so they feel like they need this external. If you take that external thing away from them, they don't have that shit anymore. What you're building is something that you are taking with you to the next life. So let this remind you what's important. You have a lot of people who are caught up on the external, who feel like they need this shit as an indicator to prove their worth. And then you have you who recognizes that it is purely internal and that there's no bank that can liquidate what you're worth. So do you believe that as a concept, or do you know that as a reality, as someone who's innovating the nature of society in this world anyway? You have followers and consumers, and you have innovators. You must be an innovator, even of your own self. And I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoy this moon in Leo. This is going to provide the spiciness and passion for you to generate more courage to build this foundation of your king/queendom. All right. What Taurus is teaching you is you don't want to necessarily get too focused and caught up on who wants me. You don't want to be waiting for people to see your value. You want to just focus on what your value is, not waiting for anything, and allow what you create to create with no expectation in mind, because this shit is bigger than any of us. And in recognizing that you're not the one in control and that there are orchestrated forces and factors beyond even this solar system, it reminds you to let go and let God or Goddess and enjoy the process as it should be enjoyed. Beware of people who are like unaware of how narcissistic their expectations can be, or just really naive or short-sighted. You know, people be meaning well, but be retarded at the same time. So just be very mindful of that. This is all for the purpose of not undermining your value. So that by the time we get to Scorpio season, you actually can draw pure boundaries. You stay blessed as always. Godspeed.